saying, apart from the one guy. Thank you for the introduction. And yes, I'm talking about work-life, and often you refer to work-life balance, and actually this is also a world premiere from my side, because actually I never spoke about my family and private stuff on stage. So this is because it's 12 minutes me and not others. So yeah, work-life balance, I think everyone can relate to. These two guys are my sons, not the guy in the back though. He's not part of the family, at least yet. And yeah, I've seen many things in my life, I think there have been many ups and downs, and you were referring to founding companies, and I can completely relate, and even congrats, because you did all that without being your mother language being German, so this congrats on that. Yet these two guys were like basically one of those projects that shocked me the most. And everyone here with kids might also relate to that. And so what is work-life balance? And so I came up actually with the term work-life chaos, because everyone in a while when someone is speaking about work-life balance, actually they refer to the work-life chaos they have at the moment. But it's a matter of perspective. So if, like from your perspective maybe, I came to the conclusion that when your work-life balance is not in order, it always can be drilled down to the matter of lacking of time. So either it's lack of time for yourself or for the ones that you love. If you had more time for most of these questions, I think, and you were asked, is your life in balance with your work, then you would nod and say yes. And in average, that is normally the case, but then there are certain incidences in your life and phases that might make it even impossible to get your work and your life in balance. So that's why I also want to change the perspective to your employer side. And here we have to look into something that is really under the surface. And I'm really astonished, and that's also one of the reasons why I now support heynanny for that reason, is that there are so many people with private topics that basically overwhelm them, that they are either less productive or they are absent more than necessary, or in the worst case, and you as so many recruiters can refer to that as well, there might be fluctuation because people can't just get those two topics, in one spot. So because I heard statistics often do the thing, here's a statistic of sick days in the past 10 years in Germany. So it nearly doubled in the past 10 years. And it's not because people more often break their legs or have more often the flu. I mean, yeah, pandemic, yeah, sure. But it's just a constant increase of sick days. So how could that happen? So I looked a bit further into detail. And sick days, if you drill it down to officially sick days due to mental health issues. So this is from 2022 to 23, it has increased by nearly 30%. And then if you then drill it down again, so what are the reasons for those sick days, official sick days? Because if you think, oh, I might be depressive, you don't call your work and say, oh, I think I'm depressive, but you call in and say, well, I've got a snooze. So it's stress related. With the biggest increase here. Depression, yes, as well. And stress related, it sounds so boring. Oh, he's not stress resistant. But in fact, it's just a matter of coping with something that happens in your life and not being able to cope the way you would need to, or your system needs to adapt accordingly. So coping mechanism had become really hard, especially in times of insecurity. And we had a lot of these insecurities in the past years. I mean, we are talking about war, we are talking about much more than before, about climate crisis, about pandemics. So these are reasons and factors that play into that. But again, like in my opinion or my point of view, also family-related topics can change your life drastically, and you need to cope. So cost of absence, I just put it into numbers, is depending on the statistics you take and depending on the workforce you have, is between 500 to 1,000 euro a day if someone is missing. Yeah? And this is not just the gross cost of your employees, but it's also like the whole value chain that you have. Because if someone in tech is missing for a week, then most probably the project will also take longer than necessary. And this will increase everything in cost sense the further you go down the road. And just for a company of just, let's say, 100 employees, we have here some of bigger companies, so you can just add some zeros behind there. It's, let's say, for 100 employees, 760K to 1.5 million. And this leads, on the other hand, to the fact that there are 80% of parents that say, "Oh, the mental load I have based on a lack of taking care for, let's say, my children or for my parents that need some attention, then it's 80% that are missing these care options, and especially women." Ta-da. Nearly half of them expect the employer to take actions here. And that's really interesting, because you all know the market has changed, so not everyone is coming straight to your desk and asking for a job. So it's headhunting, it's attraction. So 50% say, well, I need something here. And last but not least, and that's really interesting, that nearly 2 million men are considering a change job due to the lack of care. And if you just combine, especially women are considered by this statistic, and men are considered to change the job, just imagine the dialogue at home. So we don't have like really transparent statistics here, but about this care gap for either yourself or the people you love concerns about 20 to 40% of your workforce, at least once a year. And this is quite a number. And here, this is the conclusion. I also want to leave this speech with some things that you can actually do. So this is a big chance to attract people. Because on the one thing, for recruiting and on the other for retention, is that you have to be aware that people with a care demand, for them, is essential. This benefit is essential. So if you tell your people, sorry, we have to, we can't give you any more urban sports club or the fruit basket. Yeah, they will say, yeah, okay, sad but true. But if you tell them, well, you can't work the way we want you because due to your children or the parents you need to take care of, or maybe for your mental challenges that you have, then they won't bargain about that. So here we come, and this is so obvious, but yet we have this back to office thing going on, and basically this back to office was one of the reasons why I left the project last year, which was super highly successful, but for me it was a no-go, so it was not negotiable. So if it applies to the company you're working in, yet okay, working from home, yeah, if the kindergarten calls, they close, it's not so much fun. But it's better than nothing. The second thing, and this is, I think, really underrated in Germany especially, is allow part-time work. What's the matter? I mean, there's already so many statistics that prove that people working 4 days a week are even more efficient than people working 5 days a week. But nonetheless, if especially men or management asks for less hours, it's considered a career killer. So people don't do it. So I think here allowing a safe space for communicating different hours a week is essential. And last but not least, and this is maybe the easiest thing, we already talked about benefits to attract the people you want, and there are benefits and there are benefits. And I really like that I've got a well pass at work, which I used to less, yes. But again, then there might be support for mental health, because someone who might suffer depression, burnout, addictions or whatsoever, for them it's essential to get help. So there are ways, and there are really cool startups also in Berlin that support your workforce with mental health support, either through knowledge or webinars, through consultation of online psychologists, etc., etc. The second, as you see in the statistics, is childcare. So how could you support as a company childcare? Yeah, there are the kindergartens you can have in your company itself, but now we live in a remote or hybrid workforce, then that's not really possible. So there are nannying services, for instance, and so spoiler, heynanny does something like that. But I think it's important to accept that people with children, with especially young children, have special needs when they work and when they're expected to be productive throughout the day. So there are different means as well to do that. And last but not least, and I promise this is the only slide with the logo, elder care. And this is also something that is completely under the radar. And just purely statistically, here in this room, there are at least 2 people that have a care gap with their parents or relatives that need some extra care due to illness. Or if they just fell somewhere and then you're off work for the next 2 or 3 weeks and it's not fun. Especially, to be honest, people that take care of their parents privately are also the ones that might be suffer this one here. So it's a lose-lose situation as an employer if you don't take care of that as well. And everyone knows if you need to have help in these areas, you wait at least 6 months until you get help from an official place. And 6 months is a long time. So statistically, people that have this mental health sick days, they are in average out of office for 4 months. So imagine having let's stick to the IT topic, people that drop out for 4 months or more. So maybe you ask yourself, if you want to implement that, how could I convince my managers or my CEO? So it's quite an easy calculation. You take the benefits of having less absence, more productivity and less fluctuation, and deduct by that the cost of organizing is more or less organizing, flex time, part time, and those care benefits I just mentioned. So talking about return on investment, and I love numbers, but this is a return on investment for economic and for social. So you do good at the same time. Thank you very much. I speak one sentence more, and